Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. Happy Tuesday. This is Earl Bryant coming at you from the very sunny suburbs of the NYC, Long Island, New York, and it's time once again for Pearls from Earl. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard somebody say this if you hadn't said it yourself? No one's worth that amount of money. Usually that is said in response to an athlete who signs a 7, 8, or 9-figure contract making millions of dollars per year for X number of years. Well, you're usually speaking of value when you talk about that, so I want to touch on that today. And today's pearl is called The Eye of the Beholder, the Mind of the Buyer. As I said, many people balk at the notion of seeing a superstar athlete signing a contract worth 7, 8, 9 figures. And they figure no one's worth that amount of money. They wouldn't pay to see those people in person because they think, well, I'm not going to be paying their salary buying a ticket. That's a topic for another day. But many of those same people who would think of buying a ticket to watch a millionaire athlete have absolutely no problem paying ticket prices to see a movie, to see a concert, to see their favorite actor, actress, performer, entertainer, what have you, many of whom make multiple millions of dollars, not per season, but per film, per performance, not to mention all the residuals they get from recordings, from whether it's recordings of their concerts, movies, live streaming, all these different avenues and venues and endorsements and things like that. Nobody would have a problem with that, it seems. And I always wondered why that was for many years. And it's only just recently that it occurred to me as I gave it some thought. And this is just an amateur's opinion, but take it for what it's worth. To me, many people would balk at watching a superstar athlete in person or buy a ticket, because they believe it's something that the athletes are doing that's no different than what you or I did as children. We all would choose up sides, go down to the end of the block, play a game, whether it's football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever, and we feel like these guys are doing nothing that's any different than what we did as children. They're just a bunch of overgrown kids playing on a high-level, high-class playground as far as we're concerned. Whereas most of the entertainers that we see on stage, on screen, big or small, are doing something that many of us believe we would never ever be able to do. So we would happily pay them to do something and perform in some way that we don't believe is possible for us. Having said that, I'm going to discuss with you now the definitions of the word value, because that's really what this discussion is about. Value is defined as follows, according to the dictionary: relative worth or merit, monetary or material worth, as in commerce or trade, the worth of something in terms of the amount of other things for which it can be exchanged, or in terms of some medium of exchange, equivalent worth or return in money, material, services, etc., as in to give value for value received. I'll get to that in a moment. As a verb, it means to consider with respect to worth, excellence, usefulness, or importance. Back to the noun, it means a principle, standard, or quality considered worthwhile or desirable. In his book, The Science of Getting Rich, which you can download off the internet, public domain, Wallace D. Wattles writes that sales is an exchange of value, cash value for use value. And for those of you who are familiar with this gentleman, Napoleon Hill touched on it also, when he talked about the fact that in his book, Think and Grow Rich, you can determine the amount of money you want, but the part that a lot of people kind of overlooked is that he said you must also determine, along with that amount of money, the type of service that you're going to perform in exchange for that amount of money, which backs up Wallace D. Wattles, who wrote his book about 2 decades earlier, where you're exchanging value for value, cash value for use value. Now, there are people, as I said, who are making more money than you or I because they're performing at a higher level, because they're putting in the work required to get to that higher level. And whether you believe it or not, Many of them, they're not different than you in terms of status, except for the fact that they have put themselves in a position where they have a higher skill set or skill level, and they perform at a higher quality of service. But take heart, because they're not doing anything that you or I cannot do if we're willing to put in the work. It was Les Brown who said, and still says to this day, that if you want to be successful, you must be willing to do what others won't do in order to have what others won't have. So that means that what these people are doing is not an exception, it's an example, and it's not out of the realm of possibility for you or I. Now, if you're looking at me and you're a business owner per se, and you want to be more successful with your business, what you want to do is the following. You can raise your skill level. You can serve more people, or you can do some combination of the two. It was recently I read about a gentleman in Korea who is a school teacher who is a seven-figure earner. And I believe it was Robert Kiyosaki who spoke of him and said that the reason that he's a seven-figure earner is because he does not limit his audience to the students in his actual classroom. He actually teaches his classes online, and he charges a fee to people who go online and who will buy his courses, and that is where he earns the majority of his money, because he serves a larger audience and he does not limit himself to the people that are just in his classroom. So keep this in mind the next time you think about some superstar athlete who's signing for a big money contract to perform these services. It's not the person's personal value that is in question here. The issue is this: the person who is willing to pay their salary sees their services as important, as desirable, and worthwhile, and useful for their purposes. That's why they're willing to pay that person. And if you want to become someone who gets paid at a higher rate of compensation, then it is very much within your reach to be able to improve your skill set, to be able to serve more people, to provide greater quality of service to more people, or as some friends of mine like to say, you can build your audience, which means you can increase your audience every single day. You can engage your audience, and you can sell your audience by doing two simple things: add value to their lives and solve problems. Anybody can do that. It is not out of the realm of possibility for me, and it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility for you. It is possible for one and all to do just that. And you can increase your ability, you can increase your worth, you can increase your value at any time that you choose. Nobody gets to decide that but you. So, as I said at the beginning of this, as a little bit of a teaser, while it is true that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, value is in the mind and the wallet, eventually and ultimately, of the buyer. So if you want to make more money, in the words of Robert Kiyosaki, be willing to serve more people, serve them with a higher skill set and with a greater quality of excellence, so that you can have more, do more, and ultimately be more. And that is today's Pearl from Earl. Hope you got some value from that, and if you did, please like, please subscribe, and please feel free to share this information with someone that you believe can also be blessed by it. As I said earlier, this is information that I've learned from people who are showing me how to become valuable and how to improve my service and raise my skill level. If you'd like to meet these people for yourself and find out how they can help you to add value, how to solve problems, how to raise your skill level, and to serve more people so you can become more successful, I invite you to click the link in my bio so you can be introduced to them and see if in some way they can help you to do in your life what they're helping me to do in mine. At the very least, you'll have the opportunity to find out that it is possible for you to do it, because you can do what anybody else does, because they are not an exception, they're an example. Whatever they did, you can do too. I hope you got some value from this. Please pass it on if you did. And until next time, when we come at you again, I hope to see you right back out there. This is Earl Bryant signing off from the sunny suburbs of the NYC, saying take care, be well, be blessed and not stressed, be as valuable as possible, and make it a great 2019. Bye for now. Take care.